Well, hey guys, and welcome back on another one of my The 100 videos. I was not planning to post this video this week, review the third episode of the season, otherwise titled Children of Gabriel. You know, as I mentioned in last week's review, traveling on business and all. But nonetheless, the episode was worthy of a review. A lot of things going on, a lot of things happening, a lot of things that we get to discover. Now, first and foremost, and for starters, as I mentioned on my review of the second episode of the season is kind of pulling a lot of stops out of the ABC series Lost. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, this is not Lost. Not saying it is Lost. I'm just saying it's pulling a lot of stops out of the book of Lost. So yeah, there were a lot of things inspired on last week's episode by Lost, and there are a lot of things inspired on this week's episode by Lost as well. But let's look at examples. Take the use of the biblical names, Jacob on Lost and Gabriel on the 100. Now the name Gabriel on the series is the name that inspires the people outside the dome. On the other hand, Jacob on Lost was the guy who inspired the others. The people outside the Dharma Initiative housing, the people who attacked our Losties when they first landed on the island, taking kids from them and whatnot, and of course the natives of the island. Now the island itself on Lost kind of had its special properties. This, by the way, is going to lead into a very important theory that I plan on talking about over here, but the island had its special properties. On the other hand, the moon over here does have its special properties as well. I mean, it's got two suns feeding it, they eclipse, people go crazy. That's all stuff that we're not used to, just like all the stuff that we were not used to when it comes to the island on Lost. But when it comes to the Children of Gabriel, we've also got the mutiny at hand. You know, them being against their own people, the people within the dome, and whether or not they are in the right, that's basically a reminder of Benjamin Linus. You know, Benjamin Linus betraying his own people. He was the son of a janitor within the Dharma Initiative, but then he betrayed them, had them all killed, and then he joined up with the natives, the others, becoming their leader at some point. So yeah, a lot of parallels are being drawn here out of the book of Lost. Not saying it is the same, it is still completely different, a completely different story, but nonetheless, a lot of parallels are being drawn. But alright though, on this episode, Russell is introduced as this guy, the guy who's leading these people, fearful for them, for their safety, trying to make sure that the 100 do not ruin it for him. Now, he does make a solid point over there. These people destroyed their home planet, his home planet, by the way, as well, if we look at ancestry and origin, but nonetheless, their home planet, and then they are moving to another one, trying to find another home. That would make anyone with the least amount of common sense kind of question these people. I mean, what the hell are they planning to do over here, and what is it that I can expect? But then again, these people are creating their own man-made gods. I mean, the primes, that's a godly concept that they are creating that everyone is pretty much bowing to and believing in so much. Now, as a ruler and a governor of people, when you use religion in a certain way, when you create a new religious concept in order to use it as part of your ruling system, you're pretty much creating a dictatorship. That also applies when you create a new enemy out of a new group of people, because you're basically creating a scare tactic, which again is going to feed into that dictatorship. You're going to scare your people, you're going to tell them that these people are here to ruin your lives, and that is basically how he gets them all into compliance. Now obviously Murphy died, that's confirmed by Russell, that's confirmed by Murphy himself, and obviously the first appearance by Russell Lightborn was all about reviving Murphy. The thing about reviving Murphy kinda makes you think of Kylie's attempt to take over the ship, her being captured, going back to Sanctum, and speaking of wanting to protect her family. So yeah, there's the part about, her not wanting the Children of Gabriel to take the bodies of her family, chop the heads off and whatnot, but at the same time, there's the other part probably, the part that there is the possibility of revival of a dead person, in the case of Murphy using a snake, and in the case of these people shot to their death by some other kind of natural being, or a kind of advancement that these people have gotten to. But speaking of the Children of Gabriel, I mean, they do seem a little bit violent, they do seem very vicious. Their methods as well are very vicious. I'm thinking over here that our rebels outside the fake wall, outside the dome, are basically the good guys over here. Now, for one thing, I think they're named the Children of Gabriel, or they named themselves the Children of Gabriel, after Gabriel, the geneticist that we saw 236 years ago on the second episode of the season. The love of Josephine's. Now, on one hand, you've got the people inside the dome crying out the name of Josephine Lightborn, Josephine Prime, and they're being ruled as well by a descendant of the Lightborns, that being Russell Lightborn. On the outside of the dome, they're crying the name of Gabriel, the geneticist, with all the embryos that were basically used to produce more people, a population for this new place. So the question that comes to mind over here, did these people rebel and get thrown out of the wall, out of the dome, because they were discriminated against, because they are children of those embryos? Was that the way for the Lightborns, Russell Lightborn and other Lightborns before him, to maintain rule over Sanctum? Like, these are the bad people, so just stay away from them, let's kick them out. Now, even though he tries not to seem like one, we could assume over here, based on his actions, the way he approaches things, and the fact that we did watch the trailer for the season, that Russell Lightborn is a dictator. So he might try to seem like the nice guy, but he kicks Charmaine De Aza out of his heaven right then and there, out of the dome, and she's pretty much a pregnant woman. I mean, her belly is like 2 meters in front of her, so yeah, it's kind of noticeable. Now, at a first glance, you would think, who is Charmaine De Aza? Charmaine De Aza is known to be a terrorist. She was in an Allegiance prison, so news about her probably traveled all over the place to other Allegiance stations, so that's how they know, like Russell knows about her and doesn't want her inside his community. But you stop for a moment and think about it. These people know about Charmaine De Aza, the terrorist, so they probably know about Charmaine De Aza, the decorated Navy SEAL. They also know about Charmaine De Aza, the freedom fighter. Now, there are 2 ways to look at this, the first of which is you basically imprison this person, let her have her baby, and then either keep her imprisoned or just kill her. And that's basically in case you're thinking, oh, this big bad terrorist. I mean, you don't want to send this mastermind out there to join up with the people you've already kicked out, the Children of Gabriel, and, wreak havoc all over your place. But then again, there is the other way to look at it, Charmaine De Aza, the freedom fighter. That's why you wouldn't want to imprison her, that's why you wouldn't want to kill her, and that's why you wouldn't want your people to know a lot about her. At this point, to you, she's the freedom fighter. She's the kind of person who would be made into a saint, because people would look at her and think, okay, this person is going to free us of the tyranny of the Lightborns. Now, that is when you send her out of the dome, hoping to God that she wouldn't basically join teams with these guys out there and topple your regime. So your fear right now is about your regime being toppled. It's not the fear of a terrorist, it's about the fear of someone who has the power to spark some kind of revolution or a coup. But that being said though, these were the very broad highlights of the episode, the general look at this episode. But before I get to end this video, let us talk about more specific highlights from events on this episode. Number 1, we've got Delilah and Jordan, and that was a little bit corny, I gotta say. I mean, that's the kind of young adult bullshit that I don't like about this series. He tells her everything, that's expected, I mean, the guy's so naive. But then they're about to sleep together by the end of the episode. I mean, that's some kind of cliche that The 100 does a lot. And yeah, it's all about the fact that young adult stuff sells. Shipping sells, sex sells, all of that stuff sells. And they've got to put it in for all the audience that's all about the shipping to keep watching. But number 2, you've got the bit about Murphy. That's really interesting. I'm definitely going to hell. Now, I do like the part about Murphy because Murphy is going to have a lot of character development based on this bit, based on, his experience as a dead person. We know already that they're setting up a lot of character development for Raven as well, post the death of Shaw. So yeah, there's a lot of character development coming our way. That's a very positive point about this series, by the way. There's always been character changes, character developments, and this season, we know by far that there are going to be 2 of them. Number 3, we've got Octavia going all ham on the Children of Gabriel, and for no good reason as well. I mean, they were just leaving, but she decided, okay, I gotta show off my power, I'm a crazy freak, and that's what she does. But that leads up to number 4, Bellamy, kicking her off the ship. Like, you're not coming with us. My sister died a long time ago. Now, all of this is about the pain that Octavia has. She's young, she doesn't know what to do, this is what she does best now, and she's acting upon it. But nonetheless, there is going to be a lot of changes to her character, a lot of development as well. So yeah, yet another positive bonus for a 3rd character this season. Now that also brings us to number 5, she is captured by the Children of Gabriel, and that brings us to number 6, based on the trailer of the 4th episode of the season, she's going to be working with De Aza. But I'm expecting that both of them are going to end up uniting with the Children of Gabriel and working their way into the Dome, or against the Lightborns at least. Number 7, Russell Lightborn might be so careful about not showing his evil side, his anti-everyone else side, the side that keeps him as a dictator in place. That's pretty smart, but the one who's willing to show it, the one who's willing to say it out loud, is Simone Lightborn. Now, what I personally believe they're trying to do right here is present us with Simone Lightborn as a misdirect as the villain of the season, but then later on we would discover that the bigger, badder villain is really Russell Lightborn. Simone Lightborn might not even be a big villain, you know, wife to Russell Lightborn, she might not even be a villain at all. Number 8, and this is based on the trailer for next week's episode, what I'm saying about Simone over here might be right, because Russell is kind of playing around, kind of fooling around, and that's basically with Delilah's mother. So that also puts the question of Delilah having Nightblood into perspective. Now, I personally don't think she's got it. I think she's gonna get it on next week's episode, or the one that follows, or whenever. And the choice having fell on her, you know, to be one of them is basically all about the relationship that Russell is having with her mother. But that having been said though, I've got nothing more to say when it comes to the 3rd episode of the season, so let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this episode, and if you've got any theories as to what it is that is going on over here, let me know as well. If you did like this video by dropping it a much appreciated like, subscribing to this channel, and make sure while you're at it to enable notifications in order to get updated whenever I upload a new video, publish a new community post, or start a new live stream. But until the next time that you tune in for another one of my videos, the 100 or otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in to this one, and have a great day.